What's up, football fans? It's Connor here with Pastor Rock Sports. Today, I'm going to kick off a new interview series, and I couldn't think of a better guest to start with. If you're a Chicago sports fan, if you just love the history of the game, you're in for a treat. I'm joined by former Chicago Honey Bear captain and author Renee Halverson Wright. Renee, thank you so much for being here. Why don't you start by telling us a little
I'm
bit
happy
about
to be here,
yourself?
Carmen. I guess I've been a cheerleader at heart my entire life. My father played football for the UW Wisconsin, so it's been in my genes forever and ever. And cheerleading through high school and everything, and all my dance background, I wanted to come to Chicago to study dance with Gus Giordano. And during those days, they were advertising the cheerleading tryouts for the Chicago Bears. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is right up my alley. This should be really fun. And maybe it's going to open some doors for me. So why not give it a shot? We
Yeah.
had to go through a series of applications in order just to even be invited to try out. So I remember going to the tryouts at Lakeshore Drive and to all these beautiful ladies with numbers, like 1,500 of them.
There's a
100 at
lot
that
of them,
time.
right?
It grew as the years went by. So this was the second year of the Chicago Honey Bears. It started in 1977, are the original Honey Bears. And that was like basically those
Okay.
tryouts started right in the Bears office with Ted Harris, and they had Papa Bear Hallis there, of course. And after the Dallas Cowgirls were so big and the Bears were not doing well in
Yeah.
77, I'm backtracking a little bit. They
No worries.
this coach, Papa Bear Hallis, decided we need to do something because we need to bring color on the field. We need dancing girls. So he was the one that like
Yeah.
spearheaded this whole thing and found all the people to help get this together. And so it was really interesting because they did find Dearman, who was our director, who worked for Ted Harris. And they actually found a cheerleading coach for us. Her name was Kathy Core, who was once a nun. Okay. So that's a really interesting
No
twist.
kidding.
And so, anyway, they sent Kathy and Karen to Dallas to check out the Dallas Cowgirls and look at their uniforms, find out how they do things. And they came back with a lot of sketches and things of maybe different uniforms that we could be wearing. And so all of it was passed through Papa Bear Hallis and the whole Bears organization. They were just I felt like they just love the honey bears, and I think kind of like we were just
Mm.
their babies, right? Just starting out. They were very protective of us. And so
Yeah.
that's like how it started, and it just got crazy. Like people just love the honey bears everywhere we went. They were just like, oh my gosh, Chicago honey bears. And so my second year coming in
Yeah.
now, that's when the numbers grew to Lakeshore Drive with 1,500 some numbers women trying out. So we had to go through a series of different
Uh,
interviews and dance and questions. And when I left there, I just had, oh my gosh, there's just no way. It's 28 spots for all these women. And I just kept dancing and remembering what my dance teacher told me when I was like 4. It was like, even if you make a mistake, you just keep smiling and you never show you make a mistake. So that was going through my head the whole time I was moving around. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was during spring break. So I was meeting my
yeah.
Wisconsin friends in Fort Lauderdale for spring break. And that this is not going to happen. So with that,
Yeah. So is that when you found
well,
out
I was
that you
living
made the
at the
team?
time with we're 2 dance students and 3 nursing students in Evanston. Okay, we had this big apartment together. That was we all sharing.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, Renee, you got a letter here. You got a letter from the Chicago Bears." And I'm like, "Oh no, don't open it, please don't open it. I just don't want to ruin my spring break." We didn't really have iPhones back then.
Yeah.
So that was like waiting around. I'm like, I can't stand this. I have to know. I got to know. So then I called them back. I'm like, oh my gosh, would you just open it up? I'm like,
Yeah.
and all I could hear was them, dear Renee. And they just started screaming and wouldn't tell me what the letter said. They were just screaming. And I'm like, what? Tell me what happened. She goes, you made it. I go, that's really mean, you guys. You made the
Yeah.
team. And I'm like, are you? So that was, I called my father right away and my mother.
Yeah. Lots
Yeah,
of
that
phone
was
calls, I bet.
such an exciting thing to hear. And my whole life changed from that.
Oh, I can imagine. So you made the team the second year, and then, to my understanding, you were captain 3 years, your entire 3 years. How did that come to be?
Well, actually, we had to try out every year. We were never guaranteed our spot once we made it.
Oh,
So every year they'd cut half the squad to bring in flesh blood, right? Or maybe somebody wasn't,
yeah.
holding up to what they were supposed to. And so it was once you've made the team, it was really scary. We could come back and try out in our veteran white boots, but then after the tryouts, we had to throw our boots into a pile and we didn't know if we were going to see them again. So that was
Wow. So
very,
pretty
very, and then
cutthroat, huh?
the amount of women who tried out each year became like harder and harder because there was more women trying out. So being captain, there
Yeah,
were
it just
four
became more and more
captains.
popular.
So we had four lines on the field. So I was just, because of my dance background, I did a lot of the choreography and we all pitched in with that. And I think that Coach Core felt that I was right for that fit. And I had a lot of fun being captain, messing around with my life a lot,
I bet.
just fun stuff. But it was an honor. We had the other thing I was going to mention to you is we had weigh-ins every week. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we had to weigh in every
So
week,
pretty,
and we had 12 alternates that would, if we didn't make our weight or fit on our uniforms the way they like us to look, they had 12. We had 12 alternates that had to show up for every practice, and we would get replaced for a game. Yeah.
wow. I know it was pretty stressful on the sidelines too. I read in the book, I think it was Kathy, was she the one that was talking to the press box? I
Oh yeah,
read
that was so
something
funny.
about at first
That
it
oh,
looked a little too
Oh
risque,
yeah,
and
and they
then
said button it up. Like yeah, we'd go in the locker room. Yeah, we would get notes. Like they'd knock on the locker room. Plus, people would deliver us drinks to the locker room. We weren't supposed to get that. We'd be standing on the heaters, and we'd have something in our hand that was like, oh, what's going? Something like But yeah, there was a lot of craziness that went on.
that Renee, you wrote the book on the Honey Bears, obviously, Missing from the Sidelines. What kind of inspired you to put this story
Well,
on paper?
basically, years later, I'm working in a chiropractor office doing a little PT stuff, but I get this call from the front of the desk there, and they said somebody from a radio station is or TV or something is calling you to do something for the first Bears kickoff game. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope it's a radio interview, but it was TV, and it was the You and Me show at the time with Melissa Foreman and Gene Spiro. And yeah, I love
Okay.
that show. And later became the Jam, which we were also on the Jam as well, and a great cast there too. So we ended up doing every year, we would do this like kickoff and tell our stories. And they'd hold it at different locations in the city. And so we would just talk about our days, and everyone loved it. And people showed up and had beer mimosas and things like that. So it was just always a fun party thing. But we were in the studio and at the studio. And so after 3, 4 years doing this, I'm like sitting next to one of the honey bears. Her name is Carolyn Caruso Gillette. And we both danced. And I said, we hadn't seen each other that often. So we started talking because we both love cats. We both had cats at the time. And I'm like, this is crazy. I go, maybe we should write a book because there just seems to be so much interest and tell our stories. And at the time, I just went home and I started looking at my computer of pictures of us on the field. And I'm like, we're missing. They miss us. The fans
Yeah.
miss us. And all of a sudden, Missing from the
The
Sidelines
aha.
came into my head. That would be the perfect title. And the way I did the cover, I liked Carolyn's daughter, actually, Kashmir, shot the photo for us. But I came up with the idea of the palms and they let us in Soldier Field, which was great. Just
Oh,
like
to
melted
shoot the
away,
cover.
or
Nice.
something. That's all that's left is the palms and the boots. So that's why we came with we're missing, and that's all why you just see that. I thought that was an impact for the book to kind of look at,
Yeah.
wow, where are they? They're gone. That's all that's left. You know, and that
Yeah.
opened the door of yeah,
It is
it
really
opened
cool.
my eyes a lot writing this book. I thought it would take a year. It took over 4 years. And I was just thinking of it as a coffee table book for us girls. Papa Bear, I
Uh-huh.
mean, when I started looking into Papa Bear's history, I just got, wow, what a history he had. And I just couldn't
Yeah.
stop like learning more. And so it became like how it started and how it ended. And we ended the book in chapter 13 because of the honey bear curse.
The honey
Chapter
bear
13. It
curse.
ends in 13. Bad luck, but good
Bad luck.
luck
Bad luck
for
bears.
us. The book became about it, how, all the people, and their stories and how they, like Corinne, became the director for Ted Harris, and Jim Finks was their general manager. All their personal stories. We got to interview all of them. And I even got to interview Coach Ditka for 45 minutes with Diana chiming in the background. And so that was like a huge honor for me. And yeah,
Wow.
he was
Yeah.
great. So basically, then we'd had some super fans in there. We thought it'd be fun to bring them in. And then chapter 12 is basically 200 pages of all the stories from 77 through 85 Super Bowl, all the fun, personal, some sad, some are motivating, inspirational stories about girls who had tried out 2 or 3 times, never thought they would be a cheerleader, like just a lot of self-esteem stories in there. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful. You could read the book pretty fast, but you go through those stories in chapter 12. That's the lengthy part of it.
Yeah, that's where you take your time, and that's really, I mean, the most raw material in here, honestly, just hearing how everyone stories are so different.
So I was going to mention to you also in the book with Coach Ditka. He actually, when we finally finished the book 4 years later, when I asked him to do the interview, he just got on the phone. I'm like thinking I'm going to set it up a week. I go, so when would you like to do this? I didn't expect him to get on the phone. He goes, hop out right now. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, okay. Like I wasn't ready at all, but I had to do it. This was my
You
shot.
just had to come on
Yeah,
the
it was right
spot.
on the spot. And we had just, it was just such a great conversation and that he shared. And he actually showed up. We had a book signing. That was our big day that the books all came out, and our books arrived in this big bear bus with all the super fans bringing the books into. Of course, we had it at Ditka's restaurant in Chicago. We had to have our party. Yeah, our
Naturally.
so all these super fans show up with their Walter Payton cars, and all of us are out there signing autographs on the car and in the bus. And people flew in for everywhere. The girls came in from California for this huge book signing and just release. It was a book release.
Yeah.
And it was packed. And then Coach showed up. Coach Ditka showed up and Diana. He stayed for an hour and 45 minutes and he signed autographs. So we were at a table signing,
Wow.
Carolyn and I, who was my co-author. I should have mentioned that. We were at a table signing autographs and getting flowers, and all the girls were so excited. And Coach Ditka was at a table, and it was just like the best,
Wow.
best time. We had a whole line of people buying the books. I think we sold like 6,000 books in 3 hours, and it was wild. Yeah, wild.
I know you mentioned a few other players that you guys would, interact with. What were some of those interactions like?
We had a
Yes.
lot of fun together. Like I said, we did a lot of charities together and we became really fond of the Bears, especially Walter Payton. He was just always so sweet and so nice. We'd go to parties sometimes after the games. We'd all end up going to like Doug Buffone's restaurant or all these bear places that we'd hang out together. So we had a great relationship. And the one Walter Payton story that sticks out is one of the girls on the way to a game. We had to be there like 2 or 3 hours before game time. She got a flat tire, and then shortly after she was standing out there, some car pulls up behind her, and out comes Walter Payton. And so he changed her tire like a gentleman, and she got in her car. He got in his car, and they both headed off to Soldier Field. Actually, Jarrett, his son, shared that story with us at one of the shows.
Wow. Walter
Hmm.
Payton.
Yep.
What
And
what a
then, of
guy.
course, we were talking about my experience of when he was playing and he was out and flying over somebody, ends up ripping his pants. And we're like, why isn't Walter getting up? He's not hurt, is he? No, he just ripped his pants. So
Was
they had,
holding their
yeah,
breath.
they had to run out like and give him a towel, and they had to put a towel around him, and everybody's whistling. And it was just like one of those great Walter Payton moments that we shared.
Yeah. He's all embarrassed in front of the
Hmm.
honey bears.
Yep.
That's awesome. So, do you have any like favorite memories from Soldier Field? Just the game day environment, the fans, the players. Does anything stick out in the game day side of
There's
it?
just every game was so exciting. Just the thrill of being inside Soldier Field. And back then, the Soldier Field was beautiful. It looks like a spaceship today. It doesn't look like the same. It's just not the same feeling with those beautiful columns. And it was so gorgeous. There was a place called Faces on Rush Street that was like a private club, and all the famous people hung out there. O.J. Simpson back in the day, like all these football players, Bill Cosby, some of those guys. We had to do charities with these guys. And so, yeah, a few stories there.
Wow.
And we would go to Faces, and one of the drivers for Faces had this limo. So he would show up to our practices and bring us juice, but he started showing up to 1130 North Dearborn, where a lot of us lived in different apartments in the city. That was the big, we all shared apartments together, and some of the girls from the suburbs would stay with us on the weekends. He would show up in a limo and pick us up and take us to Soldier Field. And yeah, we're like, so we were going
Wow.
in style. Otherwise, we had this little Chicago Honey Bear parking sticker, like that we'd put in our windows to get into parking. So, but yeah, so
Yeah.
we'd have to practice before game time, and then we'd come out and just coming through the tunnel and hearing the fans scream. They're trying to grab our pom poms. They're like, "Can I just have a string?" They're touching our hair, and then the security's all over, like trying to like get people
Yeah.
off
Get
of
them
us.
off of
Like
yeah.
we had to use the restroom. We had to get security to walk us off the field. As it was like we were very well taken, watched out when we were
Yeah.
entering.
Yeah. You guys were adored by the city
Yeah.
too,
Oh,
it sounds.
absolutely. We didn't have to pay for anything. It was like everyone was like the key to the city. Like right, wherever you want to eat, just come here, and they give us little cards, and so we got used to doing that. And of course, the Bears would also be there as well. So that was, and
Yeah.
one incident with Chicago Bear cheerleader Lynn McGuire. We were not allowed to wear any like jewelry except our Chicago Honey Bear like necklace, and so
Okay.
she had a religious medallion or something, and so she pinned it like to
Yeah.
like
Like a
her
cross,
bra,
something
or
like
something,
that.
like something so that she could have it, but it wouldn't be shown. And I remember
Uh-huh.
her coming in at halftime, just really upset that she had lost it somewhere on the field. Like she was devastated. And so the game went on, and then after the game, we decided we all going to this restaurant. I don't know which one it was at this time, but maybe Billy's, but I can't remember exactly. So anyway, we're all at a table, and we hear the Bears laughing and whatever. And then Brian Baschnagel was the kicker, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, that last field goal must have been because I found that medallion on the field." And my Lynn was saying, she hears it, and she goes running. She goes, "Brian, what did you find?" He put it in his sock. So I'm like, that was the sweetest thing ever. What the time because he thought it was one of
Yeah.
the honey bears that lost it. So he put it
And
in his sock,
he
and
kept it
then
in his sock.
he had it and he gave it to Lynn, and she goes, "That's mine." That was one of the stories she shared, Lynn. Yeah. So,
He made the kick
oh
with the
yeah,
medallion in his
yeah.
sock. Beautiful.
So there are a lot of stories like that.
So going back really quick to, I know you mentioned Soldier Field, how ugly it is now. What do you think about the Bears possibly leaving Soldier Field and leaving the city of Chicago altogether?
I think that's hard for a lot of Chicago Bear fans who've been being able to see the Bears play along the lakefront. However, the stadium, since they changed it, I don't know. I think a better
Maybe,
opportunity to have a dome, maybe, or maybe better access to the
yeah,
city and parking and trying to get to the games. It would definitely be a change, but I don't know. I think I'm not
not
opposed
opposed
to
to
it.
it.
No,
Yeah, I agree. Maybe not best for what the fans think, but the fan experience, I think it'll definitely be interesting to see
right.
how that works. Okay, so jumping back to the Honey Bears ending, why did they not come back after that 85 Super Bowl season? I know the Bears were on top of the city, the Honey Bears were adored by the city and the nation. What put an end to all of it?
Well, Papa Bear passed away in '83. And if you know on the top of our book, here we go, Missing from the Sidelines, it says on the top, as long as I'm alive, we will have dancing girls. So he passes away in '83, and his daughter, Virginia, became team owner. She was really against having girls on the sidelines. Unfortunately for her, she couldn't get rid of us until 1985 because we had a contract. We had a agent that A plus talent agent, Sharon Cooper. She
Mhm.
kept us in line along with our coach, Kathy Core. And she said, "That's fine, but we have a contract through 1985." They didn't tell any of us that this could possibly happen because they didn't want it to get out. And so they kept it under wraps. They
Yeah,
kept it really quiet. And then 1985 comes, and we go to the Super Bowl, and they had to tell the girls. So it was a lot of venting, a lot of crying. Why? What do we do wrong? Our uniforms are nothing like the Dallas Cowgirls. We don't even show our midriffs. Just a lot of like sadness and just really just from a high to going to the Super Bowl to a low. So it was like we were
So you found out
fired
right
after the
after?
game, the Super Bowl. So then
Oh,
the
no way.
85 girls flew with Coach Ditka, his wife, and all the players. And then they came back drinking champagne, and they had to go through the
Yeah.
parade knowing that this was the end for the Chicago Honey Bears. So a lot of the guys were really, a lot of the Bears were like, they were sad. They thought the Honey Bears were great. Now, what do? They have some boys run down the field with flags. It's not the
It's
same
not the
thing. It's
same.
not, I think women like entertainment too. I like watching the cheerleaders. And so, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, there was also a problem in 1978 when Playboy came and they went to all the teams and said they wanted to do a like a something in their magazine, and the Bears agreed to it. But what happened was some of those photographers talked other NFL cheerleaders into taking their more off than they should have, and that's what I think also sparked up a lot of the problems that in 78 that happened. And it really hurt us because we lost some. We had a couple of girls that one was in Penthouse, one was in Playboy, and I remember when this came out because we were at practice at Lakeshore Drive and all the doors went on lockdown and they all came in
Yeah.
and there was reporters outside, and we knew that there was a couple of girls missing in the room and that something bad had
And
happened. Because I did a radio interview with my roommate Tina Guide, and we was like, "Oh no, none of the Honey Bears would never do that."
yeah, keeping
Yeah,
up that
right.
persona, that face of the
And
city,
that also did not help us with
your cause of
right,
staying
right.
around.
So, but there's one team that the whole team got fired because of one girl. Hmm.
The full cheer
Yeah.
squad. Wow. But do you think anything would have changed in terms of if you guys found out that you were done after the 85 season earlier? Do you think there would have been anything that could have been done to get you to stick around? Or was Virginia
I
just pretty
think
much
she
done
was
with you
wanting
guys?
to get rid of it and just they keep their whole story is the blood and guts of football, but it didn't really help them over the years.
Yeah.
It is interesting that they haven't won a Super Bowl since we were disbanded, which makes the story more
Yeah.
interesting. And we are one of the top,
Yeah.
I think, three um, stories out there, like other than the Cubs or whatever. That, um,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
The Billy Goat.
yeah, the curse. I think one of top curses. I think top three, but I know it's in the Harry Carey Sports Museum. They talk about the curse there. So
Yep. I think we need to bring them back tomorrow or
yeah,
yesterday. Every Bears game I've been to since I was a kid, there's always bring back the Honey Bears chants in the crowds, and you guys are still loved by the city. It's
and we
really good to
loved we
see.
loved cheering. Most of the girls there were diehard cheerleaders from high school, and we all had to have jobs. We couldn't just be a cheerleader. There were airline stewardesses, there was dental assistants, there was every um, walks of life. Everybody was either modeling or acting or dancing or some type of job we had to have. But we also had to practice 3 to 5 times a week. And we didn't get paid for our practices or our games. We basically made $15 to $20 a game, which covered cleaning our uniforms. But with our agent, we were able to get a lot of bookings. So that's where we made money. So we would do
Okay. Like
a lot of
endorsement
endorsement
deals and
deals. We were always flying around doing something.
now I know there's a lot of comparisons between the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders and the Honey Bears. The Cowboys cheerleaders, they have a show on Netflix. Back in the day, was there any talks or even currently about a documentary series or any sort of television
Yeah,
program for
there's
the
been
Honey
a couple
Bears?
of talks about a documentary during the time that they were coming up. There was a lot going on, and then COVID came in and different things happened. I'm hoping that maybe we'll get to do a documentary because I think there's a great story there. And WGN did a really nice Mike Lowell story on us. And it's almost like a little mini documentary. But I would like to see, anybody who's interested, please give us a call, or we'd love to share our stories and what it was like during those days.
Yeah, I'm sure the city of Chicago couldn't agree more with you. The book itself was just such a great read, and all the pictures in here. It deserves to get on a Netflix deal or
Well,
something.
and
Definitely.
actually, we were approached about doing. There was actually was something written in the process of being pitched off of the book, and yeah, our producer was Lindsay Goffman. She was the producer for the ABC Good Doctor show. So we've been back and forth with Lindsay for years, but there was a lot of things that were coming in and out, and then it got to the place where they want something more like the reality shows versus like the something back in the 70s and 80s. So it was a little harder to
Yeah.
pitch, but it was in the works, and maybe it will come back off the shelf. I'm hoping Lindsay might find a way to bring it
Fingers
back, right?
crossed.
Yeah, that was just a real honor that we got that call and that they thought enough to want to put a movie pilot around our book.
Yeah, that is awesome. If the Honey Bears never went away, do you think they'd be in the same spotlight as the Cowboys cheerleaders today?
Yeah, I think because the cowboy cheerleaders are famous because they were the first ones and they were just so popular
Yeah.
and they still are. So I think it would be like when we have NFL like alumni every 2 years. We went to Nashville, so we meet a lot of the I'm friends with a lot of the Dallas Cowgirls, and we go back and forth. Oh yeah, I remember you, or like the Raiders. We were in at this NFL alumni, and the Raiders are like, "Oh, you're a honey bear! Oh my God!" They're like touching our hair, like we love the honey bears, and it was like, wow, it was like eye opening that they were like so excited to meet us.
Yeah, and the love never really
Right.
went
Yeah. Well,
away.
we have respect for each other.
Definitely. When you look back at your Honey Bears experience, what does that kind of mean to you today? Like, how much of that do you carry
Oh
with you?
gosh. I we still do charities today and we're really close. We have a chat. So we're always chatting always together. And honestly, if it wasn't for the book, a lot of us wouldn't know each other. This book brought all of the years together and that it formed a huge sisterhood bond. So we're constantly doing things together, still doing charities, still doing book signings. That's one things that the Honey Bears have done throughout the years of when we were cheering for the Bears was we had to pick up a lot of their charities that they couldn't do, or we'd do them with them or separately. So we've still continued to do that,
Super cool.
to this day. And for me, it's one of the best times of my life for the Bears and just the excitement and the doors that it opened, the people that we met. It was irreplaceable. I still wish I want to go
Wow.
back. I said, I wish we could just go back one day, like just one more day.
Yeah, I hope that we can bring you guys back to the sidelines here.
It would be,
Now, if you could send one message to Hallis Hall and Bears fans about the Honey Bears, what would you say to them?
I would say
Sorry to put you on the
I would say
spot.
that we're diehard Bear fans too, and we loved the Bears. We cheered for the Bears. We showed up for the Bears. We filled in for the Bears and charities, and that people love the Honey Bears. And I think that if they love Papa Bear Hallis as much as we did, he's the one that brought the dancing girls on the sidelines. It was his wish. So maybe they might want to start thinking about whose wish was it? Papa Bear's or Virginia? We respect Virginia. I respect her feelings and wishes, but it was her father that she loved, and he's the one that started us. So I think you should go back to listening to what Papa Bear wanted. Maybe his wish is going to stop the curse, bring him back.